2 of the previous videos. We were interrupted from the first time of doing the video, although we did a pretty good job with the first video, but we're going to have to start again.
Yeah.
So,
take 2.
Yep, take 2, and action. Good evening, everybody. My name is Cruiser Chris, and I run the YouTube channel Cruiser Chris World Network. And I have a special guest with us this evening. He's very famous on the Twin Cities bar scene. He's worked with rock gods, Vulcan, and his latest creation, Super Ball.
Yeah.
So, if I can have him introduce himself, and then we'll start with the questions.
Yeah, so how's it going, guys? My name is Isaac Stangler. I've played in Vulcan, Rock Gods, and now my original band, Super Ball, as of 2020, which has been interesting. As soon as we were getting the ball rolling, like, all this Rona stuff came around.
Yes. Where did the name Super Ball originate? Like, how did you come up with that?
So we originally had, like, 5 ideas, and I had basically everybody give like 2 or 3 names, and then we just kind of like went through a tier list until Super Ball kind of won over everything. I can't really remember any of them, to be honest. That was quite a while ago. It was probably like last November, last December or something.
Okay. Which musical acts or performers influenced your set style?
Oh, I like that. I like the high energy. I like the really catchy songs, and I just want to make people dance. Like, I want to see people jump around. If any of you are familiar with like Youngblood, I love his energy, and that's kind of what I want to like style my stage performance around.
Now, you had mentioned something about Bach. Can you go into more detail about why Bach is so important to you?
Yeah, I think you were asking me about like musical influence and inspiration.
Yes, that's what we were doing.
Yeah, and so Axl Rose and Sebastian Bach are kind of like my vocal sound and what I've kind of geared them after. And then, yeah, as I was saying, my like songwriting and guitar playing is a lot like Green Day and a handful of other pop punk bands like Sum 41 and things. And then, yeah, the lead singer of REO Speedwagon is my biggest influence for in the studio to make sure all my words are pronounced.
What was some of your favorite music growing up that you still listen to today that influenced you?
So I had a little bit of a musical knowledge. I mean, basically my mom, she listened to things like Enya and Sting, and then my dad, he listened to like Styx, and never really had any favorite bands as far as I was concerned. I know he liked CCR, so I kind of knew a little bit of like classic rock and stuff like that. And then Guitar Hero came out, and that introduced me to a lot of songs. And then I actually owe a lot of credit to Jess, my first lead guitarist in Vulcan, to show me just like, you know, Ted Nugent and Cinderella and Bullet Boys, and really kind of show me the B-side of things, that these bands actually have really good music.
Okay.
So,
yeah, that's interesting.
yeah.
What do you think, in your opinion, is the most rewarding thing that you get from working in a band for you?
In some occasions, you are totally treated like a king. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Casino gigs are really cool. You usually get free food, good pay, and even a hotel room sometimes. Yeah, I don't know. And then just meeting everybody. I mean, I still remember in Vulcan opening up for Skid Row and having my first real experience with like being starstruck. I saw like Scotty Hill and Rachel Bolan walking by in the back like to their green room, and I was like, oh my god, they're actually here. You know, like Skid Row is one of my bigger singing inspirations, but to see them actually there, breathing the same air as you, you know, it's pretty cool.
It's really kind of special.
Yeah.
I know. Growing up, my uncle was in a couple of cover bands, and he likes ZZ Top and some other stuff too, like Bachman Turner Overdrive and Taking Care of Business. So, if you could perform at any venue, what venue would you want to perform at?
Oh, that's tough. For now, I mean, there's amphitheaters all over the world. Like Sydney, Australia would be a huge one. And I mean, there's a handful of others, but you know, like the Palace Theater. But like, I don't know. I think in terms of right now, if I can make it into Target Center, that would be pretty much like making it. Because from there, then you just go on to arena to arena.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, where is your favorite place to perform currently? Where you?
Yeah. So that's gonna be Serums in Anoka. Like, I mean,
I've been there before.
Yeah. But I've played for some pretty big crowds and some really nice places, but Serums has got all of that rock and roll history in the brick. I mean, it is just a total rock and roll bar through and through, and everybody loves to go there. Pretty much my whole rock and roll family goes there, and yeah, a lot of memories there.
What has been your favorite memory from performances at Serums?
Just, I mean, for one, it doesn't take a lot of people to make it look packed in there. So that kind of gives the band a boost of confidence and a boost of energy on stage when it, you know, looks like there's a party happening. But Serums very quickly fills up and is standing room only, and it's just quite the party. The entire top floor is just bouncing and almost ready to collapse, and like, you know, it's just rocking. It's just bouncing with music.
That's a good answer to that question.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. What do you think is the key to good band chemistry?
Just staying out of the drama. Like, the best thing you can do is just make compromises along the way. Like, people's egos will put them in a my way or the highway kind of mindset very easily. But if you can meet in the middle, everything is just going to go a lot easier. I mean, even in Super Bowl right now, you have like the bass player who really likes Sting and experimental music. The lead guitarist, you know, obviously loves shred music, Megadeth. The drummer is extremely into like 60s and 70s rock, and then I am super pop punk and 80s hair metal. So to get a set list and all of these things combined, like there has to be a lot of compromises along the way, because right now our set list is just all over the board from like 1960 to 2010.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so do you have any titles of your own music that you would like to talk about here, or where do you get your inspiration for your own music that you write?
Basically my inspiration comes from playing the guitar. So I'll be noodling around and I come up with something that sounds kind of cool, and I see what I can do from there. And then that can potentially turn into a riff, and then that's usually kind of the opening riff then, and then from there I'll write a verse, a pre-chorus, and a chorus, and then figure out the song from there. And then depending on the feel of the song, that kind of gives a feeling of, you know, what's going to happen, and then I kind of base my lyrics off of that. So if I have an idea for lyrics in mind, like a theme, then I kind of gear it towards whether it's a serious song or a lighthearted song where I can like make jokes or something, and yeah, try to make it out from there.
That's cool. So I have some friends that I know on the Zello app that I'm part of. It's a push to talk walkie-talkie app. but they have some channels on there called network radios, and they're from people all over the world. And one of the people on the channel there is learning to play guitar.
Oh, okay.
And so he's just starting out. So what advice could you give him to help him with his guitar playing skills?
If he likes Green Day at all, definitely look into that because it'll get you really familiar with power chords, which are used a ton in rock and metal. But they also have quite a selection of acoustic music too, like I think like Minority or Good Riddance, where it kind of shows you like string skipping and open chords and even something like Wake Me Up When September Ends. That one's got a descending acoustic lick, and it just keeps you versatile. The best thing I can say is study the bands that you like, because they're already a huge part of your influence at that point.
Mm-hmm. And Isaac has introduced me to some EDM music, so I listened to some of that, and eventually we're going to be coming up with a theme song for the Cruiser Chris World Network presentations, and Isaac may have a hand in that. So
excellent.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is your most rewarding thing with having a band?
What is the most rewarding thing about having a band? I think freedom, and I don't know. I think it's more excitement than anything. Just because this is the first year that I'm doing anything like this, so all of the network that I'm used to other people doing is now my job, and finding places and finding people to get into places, and I don't know. I feel like it's really helping me mature as I figure out things like compromising in a band or being a band leader. It's just kind of opened up new opportunities, and it kind of shows me how the world works a little more.
That's an interesting answer. Now, for the new band, you've been doing it a while, I'm sure, Isaac, but for the new band members and the new bands just starting out, let's say they have some stage fright and they get nervous for their first big gathering. When they step out on stage for the first time, what advice would you give them to overcome the nerves, so to speak?
Yeah, the best thing that you can do is to literally dance like nobody is watching. Bands get big if they have a lot of energy, and they have that kind of energy is because if you're a guitar player and you're like chugging on a low E or something like that, that rush that you get when you're just picking up guitar, or when you're 14 or 15 years old, where you're just fully embodied into the music and you're there. You have to be that on stage because you don't care what else is happening, and you are just giving the absolute best performance that you can give.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good answer. Now, here comes another question. How do you deal with your really big fans on stage? Like, they'll come up to you and they'll say, Isaac, play this song, or they'll get a little rowdy in the bar after they've had a bit of liquid courage, if you know what I mean. So
yeah,
when they get a little rowdy, how do you deal with them? How do you kind of keep them under control, so to speak?
I've seen very crazy stuff from being on stage and looking out over the entire bar and just watching the entire night go by. I've seen somebody take a drink of a pitcher of beer and then sneeze in the middle of it, and where it just exploded everywhere, and that one made me lose my train of thought a little bit. But I've seen many fights break out. But in terms of actually breaching that line and coming up onto stage, my rule is I'm nice twice. And basically what it is I'll ask them nicely, and then like I'll next time I'll gesture them off the stage, and then third time is when I actually confront them about it and just be like, hey, like this is tens of thousands of dollars worth of equipment. Get your alcohol away.
Yeah, kind of like just 3 strikes and you're out kind of rule.
Basically, I mean, like you ask nicely and then you kind of gesture them off to show that you're not kidding, and then that third time, like that's usually when they're just like too intoxicated to understand anyway, so you just gotta show them.
Yeah.
You can't get too violent, but you gotta let them know that you're not fooling around either.
So another question I just thought of right now is we have a lot of iconic places around Minnesota to play in. Like First Avenue and places like that, I'm sure.
Yep. Fine Line.
The Fine Line and the Caboose, I think, is one too. So if you could play at any one of those iconic places, where would you want to play and why?
Probably First Avenue. I've heard all about it. I've been there to see bands, but never gotten the chance to play there yet. But you can really only get into it if you're a original band. And my buddies from Revenant Soul, they were just there playing a show, which I'm really jealous for. But yeah.
Cool. So if you could play with an iconic music artist today, like Prince or Bob Seger or John Mellencamp.
Yeah.
Who would you want to play with?
That's tough. As much as I would want to say, like, Sebastian Bach or Axl Rose, I would honestly probably have to say either Michael Jackson or Prince, because they were, like, the top of the top, and they probably have, like, knowledge that people will never find out in their lifetime, So it'd be amazing to pick their brains.
Yeah. I don't know if we've asked this question since we restarted the video, but I'll ask it again just in case.
Yeah.
But who are your musical influences?
Oh yeah. So that was Sebastian Bach and Axl Rose for my vocal tone, and then Green Day and Sum 41 basically for my guitar and songwriting, and then the REO Speedwagon guy for pronunciation.
Oh yes, that's right. I think we got that around again. So, but now we did that again, and we're good now.
It's all good. It was paraphrased.
Yeah.
We got it under control.
Yeah. So with the coronavirus, kind of restricting everybody to stay at home right now. What are you most looking forward to, band-wise, when you get back out on the road?
Probably coming back swinging extra hard, just because it's probably going to be like 2021 before they even consider anything musically. So with basically an entire year to get ready for our show, we just practice. I mean, right now I've got about 70 or 80 songs that I need to go through and take down to 50 songs, and that's including our 12 originals. And like we were getting ready with just the 12 originals to go do a bunch of summer shows, and we were just starting to get to networking before all this coronavirus happened. And we were going to save it. We were going to save learning like a 4-hour bar night for like the winter time once we were done doing all of our summer stuff. But because that's gone, we've got nothing but time, so we might as well learn our entire show.
Right.
Yeah.
So, where's the first place you hope to perform after the COVID-19 stuff is over?
To be honest, probably Serums again. The first jam that's hosted there, for like everybody is gonna be out.
Okay.
So it'll just be nice seeing everybody, and how was quarantine, and like how's your sanity, like you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Um, let's see. Um, kind of trying not to have dead air, but that's okay.
No, that's all right.
Yeah. Um, do you have anything else that you would like to add?
um I guess I don't know. Pretty much the last thing that I have to say is like I just want to give a shout out to Ibanez guitars, just because like I've played Fenders, Gretsch, Jackson, Gibson, and a handful of others, but nothing plays like an Ibanez, and I am just stoked. I've been geeking out for the last couple of months, and yeah, it's been fun. They've been very inspirational to like my writing and things like that. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Isaac and I were talking beforehand, before this interview here,
Mm-hmm.
and you and I were talking about um, maybe having you come and do a performance of your self-written material.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
dur-
playing some Super Bowl tunes.
during the day. So we'll get that all arranged in the calendar for some future date.
Yep.
And then we will all we'll let you know. But in the meantime, Isaac, what are you doing to kind of as a band to kind of retain your audience during the closures of bars and stuff?
Well, I just did a live show, where I played a handful of songs, and then otherwise, it's been just kind of, going down into the studio, writing this or that. I just got a pair guitar to the one that I originally had, so I wrote kind of a collab song and a little a guitar duel between the two of them. And really just kind of doing little things here for cash, like writing meditation music, writing podcast intros and outros, and just staying busy however I can. Yep, staying in practice with the original material.
Now, my PCA Hannah, who's sitting in the back there, you obviously know Hannah very well. And Hannah has a podcast that she's put out with her sister.
Yep.
Called Drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yep.
And you have written the theme song for it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was cool.
Where'd you get the inspiration for that? I mean, where'd that come from?
Oh, yeah, so I just try to do as much research as I can. I was trying to think of because it was kind of true crime and paranormal, I wanted something whimsical, but also kind of like Law and Order or X-Files or something like that. So I was looking into that, and then I was also looking at other podcast intros just to see like what kind of instruments they use to create what, or whatever feeling they wanted to create. And yeah, from there, I just kind of went down to the studio with like what I had to use, basically like a tool belt. And yeah, just kind of started free writing, and then yeah, just like with the writing process, you catch a riff that sounds pretty good, and you work on it from there until you got something.
Okay, 2 more questions to close, so
Sure.
we have time for 2 more. So let's say that a young man is working his way up through teenagehood.
Mm-hmm.
And wants to be a band, or wants to make a band, or create a band,
Yeah.
or start a band, what advice would you give him?
The best thing you can do is watch people in like the talent shows and go to like the band geeks. I mean, if somebody plays like alto saxophone, they might also know piano, or they might know guitar or bass guitar or something, especially in jazz band if the school hosts it. But yeah, you can normally go through that, and I mean, you can literally network anywhere. You just gotta start with one person.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
And then, if people want to find out more about you and what your band's doing,
Yeah.
where can they find you at?
Yeah. So, our Facebook page, you can find it at Superball Band. Otherwise, just Superball on Facebook. Our logo is very 70s font and like 70s looking. So, yeah, you can check it out on Facebook. That's kind of where we post everything. Superball is also on YouTube, but we don't have too much out there yet.
Fairly new yet.
Yeah.
It's kind of like me and the Cruiser Chris World Network. So we hope that you've enjoyed this evening's interview. We would like to take a minute to thank Isaac for coming and sitting down with us and answering these questions.
Yeah, thanks for having me on here, man.
As I've grilled them with these questions, and ironically enough, he was grilling before we did this interview.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. So this has been another presentation of the Cruiser Chris World Network. If you like what you've seen, please go ahead and subscribe. We do have our own self-written book that we are working on right now. We do airings of that on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Central Time. And we couldn't do what I want to do and without your support. So your support is critical to what we're doing. So if you could share videos like this on your YouTube pages and Facebook pages and Twitter accounts and whatever else you use for social platforms, that would really help me. We hope that you've enjoyed this presentation and tune in next time.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for having me on.
You're
and
welcome.
Thanks for watching, guys.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
Yep. Have a good one, guys.